Hey, Pickle Posse, thank you for joining me for another live training. Today we will be looking at PodOps Connect. Let me go ahead and get my screen share up here really quick. All right, let's maximize this so you don't have to see my dirty desktop. All right, and before we jump in, just a couple things. So today we're going to go over how to navigate PodOps Connect if it is new for you, how to create your first email campaign as well as SMS campaign, and how you can send one-to-one SMS messages. We'll also be having a training next week on Monday, July 1st. So we usually do these on Friday, but since in the US it's a holiday next Thursday, and we know a lot of people will take a long weekend, we're going to do it on a Monday. And we're going to look at some of the new features, which include chapter markers, the PodOps Genie, and how to create AI and chapter notes with the new functionality that's been built in, plus one surprise feature that'll be rolling out later today that if you're watching our socials, you'll probably get a sneak peek of. And for anybody who will be attending Podcast Movement this August in DC, be sure to visit us. We'll have lots of swag. You know, we like to give away shirts. We have the new drink koozies that snap on. Those have been very popular. So let's go ahead and jump in. All right. So Connect lives over here on the lower left from your main dashboard. So as soon as you log in, you can see it by looking down over there. We're going to go ahead and click into Connect. And what it's going to do, it's going to refresh your left navigation. So you're in a subsection of the site. That's why the navigation changes. Everything is focused on Connect. You'll notice at the bottom, you have Podcast Dashboard. This will take you back to that previous screen. So if you ever need to get back to your podcast dashboard, you absolutely can. Now, we're going to go a little bit out of order. We're not going to go directly down the navigation because I want to point out a couple of features and how some things in the system connect. So we're actually going to start with subscribers here about halfway, 3/4 of the way down the navigation. And one thing I'll point out is I'm on a really wide screen. So if you're not seeing some of these lower navigation items, this left navigation does scroll. If you're on a trackpad, you can usually just hold your fingers on the pad and move it. If you have a click mouse, you can click and scroll. Again, we suggest Chrome. That's what I'm using. It's the easiest. You'll notice that it is highlighted when you are in the navigation item. But if you're not seeing something, it just means your screen might be a little smaller and you need to scroll down. So here in the Connect section, we've got two different things: Connect subscribers at the top, and then we have podcast subscribers at the bottom. The main difference is a Connect subscriber is somebody that you have added to the system, meaning you either manually added them as a one-off contact or you imported an Excel list. The podcast subscribers, these are people that came from your PodOps podcast website. This means they clicked the button on your site that said subscribe, they put in their name, their email, and then they selected if they wanted to opt into email or SMS. So you can see here at the top, I've put in a test record, and on the right, you can see I've opted into email and SMS. You can always change these settings. So if a user reaches out and they say, hey, I don't want any more messages, you can come in here and make that change and update it, and then it'll be reflected, meaning if they ended up in a list you sent a message to, it would automatically exclude them. So we're helping you make sure that you stay compliant with all the spam and GDPR regulations. And then the Connect items up here, we won't go too deep into this. We'll kind of just take a quick look. You'll see in the upper right, we have add a new recipient. This is adding a one-off contact. So if I wanted to add myself here, and we'll just put in a fake email and then a phone number and a tag. So one thing that's really important is you notice it says number verified really briefly in green. You do need to put the country code. So my phone number is a US based country or US based phone number. So the country code is 1. We do have an option here if you need to look up a user's country code so that you can find that really quickly and easily. If you leave that off, it's not going to add that. But if you watch these two boxes at the bottom, if I remove the phone number, you'll notice one of the permission boxes is gone. When you manually upload or manually add a contact, you are responsible for obtaining permission to contact this individual. So We're assuming you have gone through all of the rules to get them to manually opt in. So you are accepting that responsibility by checking these boxes. The first one here is an email permission because I've got an email address. And if you put in a phone number, you will, after it's verified, you'll get this second option to verify that you have that permission. Now, I won't add this because it'll be a duplicate and it'll error out because I'm already in here. But if you needed to make an update, you could go ahead and do that as well by, again, clicking the pencil icon under Actions. And then import, again, we're not going to go through this fully, but this is where if you wanted to mass import subscribers or unsubscribers via an Excel list, you can download a template Excel, which gives you all of the required header fields, and then just input your data. You would select the file here and put them into a tag, which is an audience. So let's go ahead and look at that next, our tags here on the left. So you can see I've got a number of them here. Let's go ahead and create a new one on the upper right. So tags are just a way to define who your audience is in a particular list. So you might have dozens or even hundreds of these. On day one, you're not going to have any. You'll notice in the background, my first list is test because it's myself. I like to send myself a live test of emails and messages to make sure things like links work, images show up correctly. That way I can also look at it in Gmail and Outlook on my phone and really test it as completely as possible before I push it out to any listener because you never want to get that message back that says something looks funky. You can really name your tags anything you like. There are no restrictions on that. So we'll be very creative, and this will be test 2. We'll hit create. You'll see you get a success message in the upper right corner, and then it's going to add it to the list. Now it does go to the end of the list. So you can see it's over here on the second page. It also has 0 recipients because we've just created this list. We haven't added anybody to it. So back on that previous screen, subscribers, excuse me, this is where we would be adding those recipients and then selecting their tag if I wanted to put them in test 2. And you'll notice I can put them in multiple tags at one time. So you do not have to do this every single time you add somebody. I can put them in all of these if I like, and then go ahead and add them. Same as when you import, you can select as many tags as you like. All right, so let's jump up to templates. So when you're building an email, you have to have a template. That's the core of your email. You can build one from scratch, or you can use one of the templates that we've provided. So you've got 2 tabs here on the top, and right now I'm in the default templates tab. So what this is, it's showing you templates that we've provided for you that you can click add, and it will place them in the My Templates tab. Once they are there, you can go ahead and edit them as much as you like. You can duplicate them so that you have multiple versions. You can really do whatever you want to them. You can also delete them if you decide you want to start over. Anything in the My Templates tab is yours to edit. Anything under default will never change. It's just there for you to come back to and grab as you need it. So let's go ahead and we'll just click edit on, let's grab this one. It's probably a little more interesting in the middle. We'll click edit. This is going to open up my template, and this gives us a full view of the editor. So just a couple quick navigation items. Very top and center is our back button if we want to exit and get back to the previous screen. We also have the desktop, tablet, and mobile views on the upper left if we want to change how this layout looks so we can test it here. Now, I always still suggest sending yourself a live test so that you can really see this on a mobile device. We can render it pretty well on the screen in a mobile view, but there is nothing that's quite the same as an actual mobile device. If you are a coder or you know HTML, you can actually paste in your own HTML. So that is this little code item here in the upper right. You can also duplicate and view your code. So this will show me all the code that's in here. We're not going to go through that today. That's way too in-depth. But where the magic is, it's really over here on the right. So because this template is already built, you'll notice as I'm mousing over things, they're lighting up. So table cell, text, image, etc. All of those are widgets over here on the right. So you can drag and drop new widgets and place them, and then it's going to ask me to grab a file. So I don't have any in my library right here, so I need to add an image. We'll grab this. I think that's Teddy Pickles. And once it uploads, I think it's actually a really big image. Yeah, we won't use that one. it's going to drop it in there for you. And you'll notice when you're in the element, you get a whole new set of items on the right. So you can manipulate the image, add spacing, um, decorations to a degree. So it depends what you upload, but you have some freedom to play there. And then the same thing with text. But you'll notice when you click into the text, you also get the traditional WYSIWYG editor. So if you're familiar with a Word document, which I'm sure all of you are, all of the basic editing tools for a Word document are here. They'll also appear on the right as you drag and drop options in. And in the very upper right corner, you'll see the plus sign. This is where we get back to those elements. So anytime you want to grab new ones, you can just come here, grab a new one. You'll see it's going to pull up that menu again for me. I also have options on the right if I want to get more in depth on very specific text refinements, the weight of the font, letter spacing, etc. So we've kind of got our basic items here in the middle and then the in-depth items on the right. Now, one thing that's really important, and it's a little dark in this email, it is the unsubscribe and opt out information. So we put this in the message for you by default. You can't send a message without an unsubscribe link in it. You'll get an error message if you delete it and then try to send the message. But if you ever do remove it, it's part of this primary address widget here. So you can just drag and drop this in, it'll bring it in. And of course, we could come in here and make this text white and go through that. And that's going to be more visible and better for our users. So we're not going to save this because everything I've done here is pretty ugly. Nobody wants to see that. So we'll just go back. If you are actually doing edits, be sure to save often. Again, you're in a web-based browser. You never know when your computer is going to crash or your internet's going to, cut off. So save often. It just saves you headache later. You can also create your templates from scratch. If you click Add New, it will give you a completely blank canvas. And that's where you're going to start with the sections here. So if we did a 1x3, you'll notice we have 3 blank cells. And at this point, you are on your own to create whatever you like. So really, the sky's the limit. If you're really new to email or getting started, it's probably easier to start with a template than it is to start with a clean slate. But this is a great way to just come in, play with all the different widgets, and get used to them. All right, let's go down one on the left into the email campaign section. And within the email campaign, so think of your template as the base of your email, and then we need to pull it into a campaign so that we can send it to somebody. So we're going to click Create a New Campaign in the upper right. And here's where we're going to have all of our core elements. So we need a title for our campaign. We need a from address. It is pre-populated. I'll show you where we build this in a minute. My account has lots of test information in it. So, don't read too much into that. Feel free to disregard. We'll select my test list. Again, this is why I always set up a segment called test with my email in it. We can put in our subject line. Very creative. You can change the reply to. So the reply to address would be if you send out a message and then somebody clicks reply, this is where that email is going to go. So say that you have the from address coming from you at yourpodcast.com, but maybe you have a marketing person or somebody who helps you. Maybe you want them to get the replies. This is where you could put in their email and any replies would go to them. And then we need to select our template. So if you are somebody who likes to build your templates on the fly, you can also click create it and create it from scratch here, but we're going to select a template and this will bring up all of our options. So again, if we did all of our work already in the template section, we're just going to select it. It's going to plop it right in there. And we're just going to hit save in the upper right corner because I am a perpetual saver. Give that a moment to save. And at this point, we could send ourselves a test. So if I click send a test, it's going to say, do you want to send this test? And it goes to your account. So whatever your PodOps email is for your login, that's where this will go. And you'll see a success message in the upper right corner. And then I'm going to get this email. If I was ready to send this to my audience, click send schedule. Oh, excuse me. I skipped a step. If I click that without putting a date in here, it's going to send it right now. If I want to send this at any time in the future, I want to click on the campaign schedule box. And this is where I can select any time within a minute from now. So if I need to send this next Friday at noon, this is where I can make that option. You can always come back in and change that date and time as long as you do it before it sends. Once a message starts to send, there's no way to stop it. It's out the door. So just be aware of that. All right, we're gonna back out of this. And you'll see it's saying, I've made some changes, but I didn't save them. Am I sure I want to leave? Yes, I want to leave, but because I've gone back and I didn't save it, you'll see that it just pulled those changes off. So always save, otherwise you will lose your work. So we'll go down now to SMS campaigns, the next item in our list. So the difference between SMS campaigns and SMS inbox is the first one, think mass messaging. So we're sending messages to a large audience. The SMS inbox, we're doing one-to-one. So the SMS inbox works in two ways, and we'll get into that. But let's look at the campaigns first. So for campaigns, very similar to email, we can create a new campaign in the upper right corner. And we have a similar layout. Now, the text box is not as in-depth or rich as the email because we can only send so much through the cellular providers and make sure it's going to work with every phone. But again, we'll name our campaign. We'll send it to my test audience. And you'll be able to put your message in here. Be very creative. This is a test. You'll notice we have an unsubscribe message at the bottom for your reply stop to stop. You cannot fully remove the unsubscribe message. You've got to have something in there. So it could be, reply stop to opt out. Something has to be there in order for the message to send and be compliant. In the message area itself, you can add emojis. So we've got the emoji box for you. You can add tags. So if you want to personalize it with somebody's name, email, or phone number, you can go ahead and put that in. At the time of send, this will change and actually show the person's name as long as you have it in the database. And then you'll notice in the bottom right corner, it's counting your characters for you, which is inclusive of the unsubscribe message. So the standard for most cellular carriers is 160 characters plus spaces counts as a singular message. And after that, they count it as two messages, even though most iPhones and Androids do not break it into two anymore. That's how the cellular service providers count it. And so that's how it's charged. So you'll see it says 1 credit. If we get this over 160, it'll say 2 credits. So as you keep multiplying by 160, the credits will go up, and we'll look at that more in a moment. So similar, do I want to send an SMS test? Now here you do need to put your own phone number in because we don't require you to put a phone number in when you sign up. So we don't have one for you by default. You can go ahead, put your number in, hit send. Again, if you don't know your country code, which for the US would be 1, click this option here at the top, and that'll let you look up your country code. So we're not going to save this. We're just going to click back to our SMS campaigns and look at a couple of options here really quick. So the eye icon, this just lets you see what the campaign was that was previously sent. So, it'll have the date it was sent, the time it was sent. You can see the message on the right. The statistics is the little stats icon. So we can see total credits used, the number delivered, if any of them bounced, and how many opted out. You also have a report in the upper right corner if you want this in more of a CSV format so you can export it. And going back, if you had a campaign, and I should mention, all of these options we are looking at, they're the same for email. Email just has more visual reports than the SMS section. If you created a campaign you really liked, you want to use it again, maybe send it to a different audience, you can duplicate any of these campaigns, same as with an email. Just hit duplicate. It'll take a moment. It's going to refresh, and then you'll have a message here in draft mode. So you can see any that are sent are in green, any in draft are in red. And I can click the pencil icon on the right under action. That's going to take me right into that message. All right, moving along to our SMS inbox. So here's a message I sent myself earlier. Hello, let's do another. This is a test. Again, I'm being very exciting. I spelled test wrong. That's okay. Let's put an emoji in there, and then let's send it. So that message is going out now. It'll take it a second, and then you probably can't see this on my screen, but there's the message in my little notifications there. So we can reply from our phone. We'll just say hello back really quickly. Again, it'll take it a moment. Sometimes you do have to refresh this page or click out. I think I'm on the top there. Let's give it a refresh. But you can one-to-one message. You'll see here's my contact. There's the hello I just sent. You can do it in that way of clicking the new icon in the corner, putting in somebody's phone number, agreeing that you have permission to message them, and start the conversation. Or if somebody replies to one of the mass messages you send from the section we just looked at, they will appear here on the left with whatever they said, and you can begin that dialogue with them because they have just opted in to have a conversation with you. So this can be really helpful if you send out an SMS message and you're like, hey, check out my new episode. And maybe the link is broken, or maybe they don't understand where to get it. And they text back, hey, how do I tune in? You can respond directly to that person. Go to X link. Here's my newest episode. And you can resolve that really quickly. So we try to make that personal communication very, very simple for you. All right, analytics. So within the email and SMS campaigns, you have the specific analytics just to that message. This section is roll up. So right now you can see I've got 18 campaigns selected. This is everything, and that's the default view. You can deselect and look at one by one, but this is showing you a roll up over the last 7 days of multiple campaigns. So this is a good way to get a gauge of how your email is performing overall, excuse me, overall for opens, clicks, and unsubscribes. And then settings. This is also a really important section. So a couple of things you do need to do is when you're going to start sending emails, you need to come in here and put a from address. It has to be a real email address. We will send a message to it and we will verify that it's a real address. This is how we ensure we're staying spam compliant. You can put in whatever sender name you like. It doesn't matter. It just has to be a real email address. If you put something in, this will be yellow under status until you verify it. Definitely check your spam folder. Sometimes those messages get caught. And then here under SMS, you can see here's my current number that I'm using. When you first sign up for this, it's going to ask you some questions about where you live and your location so that you can go ahead and verify the phone number based on your location, your country, etc. And then the manage address section, you can have up to 2 physical addresses in your account. You must have at least one primary address that is used in the bottom of your emails. So this is a spam regulation. It is not a PodOps regulation. You do have to have some email, or excuse me, some address that's included in every email. So you can see we've got our business mailing address here. This is what we put at the bottom of every email. You can have a secondary address. So if you have a secondary mailing location or a PO box, that's definitely there. And those widgets within the email on the very bottom right, you'll see there's address 1 and 2 or primary and secondary. You can switch those out. It doesn't matter which you use. They both include the unsubscribe information and they'll switch the address for you. If you ever need to make a change, come in here, edit the address, hit update, you're good to go. And as far as active plans, so if you're brand new to Connect, you need to select some plan before it's going to let you actually send out emails and or SMS. Here you can see my total credits for the moment. And if it's your first time in here, it's going to say activate versus upgrade. You can always upgrade to change or enhance your plan. But first time you'll see activate and it's going to bring you to this screen. So you can really start light. You do not need to start at a high tier, especially if you're just starting to build out your audience. You also can start with just email rather than email and SMS. So we've separated those packages for you. All you'll do from the drop down is select how many contacts you want to have contact with. So how many people are in your database or how many have already subscribed to your podcast. This is what you're selecting here, and that will update this page here. So, most users, if you're brand new to podcasting, 0 to 250 is going to be more than sufficient because that provides you 2,500 emails a month. So if you have 250 contacts, that means you're sending up to 10 emails to each of them per month. So that's a pretty significant amount. You probably don't need to send them that many. If you're going to also add on SMS, there's a second drop down here over on the right, and that gives you the option to send an X number of monthly SMS credits. The lowest is 500. Again, the contacts is set by the upper number on the top. So whichever you choose, click activate. It'll take you through the payment process, and then you're good to go. And so that's really Connect in a nutshell. It's very simple to use. We tried to make the navigation very streamlined. We will do a deeper dive in an upcoming session where we really go into how to build a template from scratch, how to go through all the components, as well as some of the reporting features and creating your lists. But for now, if you haven't already signed up for Monday session, plan to join us as we go through new features. We'll look at chapters, how to use those. We'll look at the PodOps Genie, and we will look at the new AI tools. And if you haven't already seen what's about to come out later today, you might see it over the weekend. We'll look at a brand new feature that has been in the works for a while. So thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you all again. Have a great day and happy podcasting.